Matthew 26, beginning at verse 47, and I believe I'll be reading down to verse 56. It says, while he was still speaking, Judas, one of the 12, arrived. With him was a large crowd, armed with what? Swords and clubs, sent from the chief priests and the elders of the people. Now the betrayer had arranged a signal with them. The one I kiss is the man. Do what to him? Arrest him. Going at once to Jesus, Judas said, "Greetings, Rabbi," and kissed him. Jesus replied, "Friend, do what you came here for." Then the men stepped forward, seized Jesus, and did what? Arrested him. With that, one of Jesus' companions reached for his sword, drew it out, struck the servant of the high priest, cutting off his ear. "Put your sword back in its place," Jesus said to him, "for all who draw the sword will die by the sword. Do you think I cannot call on my Father, and he will at once put at my disposal more than 12 legions of angels? But how then would the scripture be fulfilled that said it must happen this way?" At that time, Jesus said to the crowd, "Am I leading a rebellion that you come out with swords and clubs to capture me? Every day I sat in the temple courts teaching, and you did not arrest me. But this has all taken place that the writings of the prophets might be fulfilled." Then all the disciples deserted him and fled. God bless you. You may be seated. Mikey, as they take their seats, you can prepare. Don't play it yet, but just bring it up. Just bring it up. This is actually a sermon that I preached before, and probably not too long ago, and I'm preaching it again. And it's for all of us. For the young people behind me, all of you in front of me. And it's just basically simply titled, "What to Do When Stopped by the Police." Simple title, "What to Do When Stopped by the Police." The other day in the city of Cincinnati, a black officer by the name of Freddie Vincent put a post on Facebook. The post went viral. Freddie Vincent, a Cincinnati police officer, said that black people need to be careful. He said, "You need to be careful." He said, because he said, whatever they tell you to do, just do it. And he went on to say, because there are white officers out there just looking for a reason to kill black people. Freddie Vincent, a Cincinnati black police officer, posted it on Facebook. It went viral. CBS picked it up. TheRoot.com picked it up. And if you read local newspapers, the Cincinnati police now are investigating it and checking how it fits with their social media policy to see if he broke policy. But Freddie Vincent said that it's in my heart that I've got to tell my people, because he said, look, he said, I got two sets of people. I'm with the blue people, but I was born and raised with the black people. He said, I was black people before I became blue people. And he said, I just got to tell you, I got to tell you. He said, I could have kept this to myself. I could have kept it a secret. I could have whispered it. But he said, let me just post it, that you need to be careful. You need to be careful. And he said, because there are white officers out there who are just looking for a reason to kill black people. Now, of course, you know he's getting a whole lot of pushback. He's getting a whole lot of flack. City manager said it's despicable, but people are saying he ought to be fired. Now, I still believe we're in a country where they say we got a First Amendment right to freedom of. So he said, they're out there and they're looking for. He said they're looking for a reason. In other words, what he's saying is, do the best you can not to give them a reason. I told you last week, I think it was, when we had a forum here, and on the end was the chief of police of Forest Park, and he said part of the problem is how we train our officers. He said we train them to be afraid. He said we train them day one to be afraid. We tell them that the most dangerous situation they will ever be in is a traffic stop. He said that's what we put in their head day in and day out. The most dangerous situation you will ever be in is a traffic stop. So obviously, the moment they pull you over and get out the car, they are on edge to begin with. So I want to test Freddie Vincent's hypothesis. I want to test his theory. So Mikey, bring this video up. I want everybody to watch it. And hopefully, Mandel, you can capture it. Make sure the volume's up. I want you to see what happens to this brother.
You want to work?
Keep your hands on the car.
Mikey, you can stop it right there. You can stop it right there. They were stopped because he said that they spoke to a guy sitting on the steps. He said, "You know him?" I said, "No." "Well, then why'd you speak to him?" "I was just saying hi. People don't say hi in this neighborhood." And you probably didn't hear the part, but if you can watch it on your own, he said, "Keep on talking, I'm gonna split your wig." Freddie Vincent, the Cincinnati black police officer, said there are some of them out there just looking for a reason to take your life. And it doesn't take a whole lot for that to happen. And there are videos out like this, countless of them. And too often, nothing happens to these officers. So one night, Jesus Christ, from the text that I read, and I've told you this before, Jesus Christ came upon the situation that frightens most of us, black men and black women. In the middle of the night, he was confronted by law enforcement. It's called the Garden of Gethsemane. All four gospel writers write about it. He had just got done praying. He gets up, and here comes the police. Here comes the police. It's pitch black night, and the police roll up on him. And as I read the text, it said they came with swords and clubs. Well, they don't use swords and clubs anymore. They got what? Guns and tasers and all kind of stuff. They roll up on Jesus. And what I noticed, first thing I noticed, Jermaine Way, is it said, and Judas, one of the 12, is the one who brought them to Christ. Now, you all would call Judas traitor, but understand, he's Judas, one of the 12. And so he could be called traitor, but there's also another word for somebody who's one of you, who turns on you, and we call him Uncle Tom. Judas, one of us, has turned his back on us. Because every officer who's out there doing wrong ain't white. Some of them look just like us. Judas, one of the 12, sold Jesus out for 30 pieces of silver. And so in the midnight hour, here comes the popo rolling up on Jesus. It is every black man and black woman's fear. You don't know what to do. Put your hands on the wheel, put them up. The brother in Florida, laying on the ground, hands up, saying, look, don't shoot me, don't shoot me, don't shoot me. I'm a behavioral therapist. He's autistic. I'm trying to get him back to the house. He's got a toy truck in his hand. Whatever you do, don't shoot me. And what'd they do? They shot him. He said, why did you shoot me? He said, I don't know. We don't know what to do. Hands up, hands down, hands out. And in the midnight hour, they roll up on Jesus. They roll up on him. And what is true is what happens here. It says they were sent by the chief priests and the elders. And I've told police oftentimes that you are the front lines of people's oppression. You are the face of oppression. You may be quote unquote good cop, but somebody way up high sent you to arrest us. So it says they sent the soldiers, they sent them with clubs and swords. Who sent them? The folk in the political offices, the politicians sent them to hold people down. And they came to arrest Jesus Christ. What do you do, young people behind me, black people in front of me? What do you do when stopped by the police? What do you do when law enforcement rolls up on you? Mikey, pull up verse 52 in the text. Verse 52 in the text, Matthew 26:52. Matter of fact, start at verse 50. Matthew 26:50. There you go. Jesus replied to Judas, friend, what do you came here? Why did you come? Then the men stepped forward, seized Jesus, and arrested him. They did just like you see them doing to brothers and sisters on the street. You can't even ask what I do. You can't even ask what I do. Why are you stopping me? Why? Show you my license for what I do. It's almost like you asking what I do just angers them more. Just angers them more. It's like, how you dare you ask me what you do? And the next thing you know, you're tied up, you're twisted up, you're slammed on the car. Bring it back up. With that, one of Jesus' companions reached for a sword, drew it out, struck the high servant's ear, cut it off. Next verse. Jesus said, look, put the sword back in its place. Put the sword back in its place, because all who draw the sword will die by the sword. The first thing to do when stopped by the police is don't resist. Don't resist. Don't resist. We could have had a midnight brawl at the Garden of Gethsemane, because I don't believe Peter was the only one with a sword. I don't believe he was the only one with a sword. I believe a whole bunch of cats had blades in their pockets that night. I know that because I got a church full of y'all. I don't believe he was the only one had a sword, but he was the only one that took it out. Jesus said, tell you what, no, put the sword back. We ain't going to go out this way tonight. We're not going to go out. It's not going to be a midnight brawl here in the Garden of Gethsemane. So the first thing to do, people, young people behind me, is don't resist. Don't resist. Because they, as Freddie Vincent said, they're just looking for a reason. Now, to understand that, and obviously it's not all policemen, all right? So you get that. It ain't all policemen. Although they are all trained the same way, it probably is not all policemen. But there are some, as Freddie Vincent said, who are looking for a reason. Why is that? Two reasons for some of them. Number one, a lot of them, as I said before, have taken the hood and robe off of the KKK and put on the badge and the uniform. Now, some of you sitting here, you may think that sounds crazy. What do you think a Klan member does during the day? If he ain't on the police force, he's somewhere working, ain't he? Where you think they just disappear when they take the robe off? No. No, they're the prison guards in the prisons. They love that whole law enforcement thing. Some of them are just looking for a reason to take you out of here. And ladies, it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. I've seen enough of them grab sisters and slam them on the ground and beat them like they would beat a man. I've seen them beat women just like they were beating a man. I watched an officer in California by the side of the highway beat an elderly black woman and kept punching her in the face as if she was a man. So yeah, some of them take the robe and hood off and put the uniform on. But then the other problem is this: all of them have been indoctrinated with this idea of, I want to go home at night. And they tell you that. They tell you that. If it's going to be me or you, it's going to be you. Why? Because I want to go home at night. I want to go home to my family. So they are more than ready. If it's going to be an issue between you and me, you got to go. Because they are all indoctrinated, and you've heard them say that. Every officer wants to go home at night to their family. And so if there's any little inkling of a tense situation, the quickest thing to do is make sure that I'm going home. You may go in a body bag, but I'm going home. And I told you before, it's interesting that the person who is always the one in the encounter who's afraid, the one who always feared for their life, is always the guy who's got the gun, the badge, the nightstick, the taser. He's always the one afraid. Not the unarmed brother laying there with his hands up in the air saying, don't shoot me. It's the guy who always says, I was afraid. Not Philando Castile sitting in the car. It's always the guy who's afraid, who has all the weaponry. So the first thing Jesus says, look, don't resist. Put the sword away. Put the sword away. We're going to resolve this, but we can't resolve this here in the garden. We can't resolve this here on Reading Road. We can't resolve this on Hackberry. We can't resolve this on Vine Street. We can't resolve this in whatever street you live on in Westchester. So put the gun, put the knife, put it away. Put it away. Don't resist. Don't resist. They're going to twist you all up, put the cuffs on as tight as they can, slam your head on the hood, bump your head when you're getting in the door. All right, we ain't going to resist right here. So the first thing he says is, don't resist. But the next thing I like, give me verse 55. Verse 55. Now, there's a difference between Christ and us. At that time, Jesus said to the crowd, am I leading a rebellion that you have come out with swords and clubs to capture me? He said, look, I came here through 42 generations. I was healing the sick, raising the dead, giving sight to the blind, preaching good news to the poor. That's what I was doing. I was just shaking up the religious system, but I wasn't hurting anybody. I'm not Barabbas. I'm not one of those guys leading the rebellion against the Roman government. I was just doing good works. So was I leading a rebellion that you hate me so much? That you come out here with all this weaponry? Was I leading a rebellion that you hate me so much that you put us in chains, you put us through segregation, mass incarceration, poor schools? Was I leading a rebellion that you put me through that? So no, he wasn't. But that was then, this is now. So while he was not leading a rebellion, you first of all don't resist, but secondly, you need to be part of the rebellion. Because if things are to change, there has to be a rebellion. Somebody's got to lead a rebellion. Because you just cannot keep denying us justice. Somebody's got to lead a rebellion. You all don't even understand what I'm saying. And you all mostly black folk in here, and that's a shame. But let me help you with something. Rosa Parks helped lead a rebellion. Dr. King helped lead a rebellion. Frederick Douglass helped lead a rebellion. Jesus didn't have to lead one. He knew what he was about to do, but you got to be part of one. Because if you are not, they'll keep shooting your kids. They'll keep gunning them down, and nothing happens to them. Yes, we must lead a rebellion. Yes, there has to be a rebellion. The rebellion has to be in a number of different ways. You can lead, the rebellion can be on social media. You can keep bringing out to light what is happening. You can be part of the Black Lives Movement, part of that rebellion. You can be part of the power of the Black Dollar Movement. Help me, somebody. And start withholding your money from people who don't like you. You can be part of the Black Vote Movement. Or you can be a member of the New Prospect Baptist Church and be part of the Black Church Movement. Am I leading a rebellion? Yes, somebody has to be part of a rebellion. And ladies and gentlemen, understand, everybody gets blessed by it, but in the rebellion, no cowards are welcome. The preacher this morning preached on Gideon, and God told Gideon, you got a whole bunch of folk, but some of them are scared. You don't put scared people on the front line. Scared people are worried about their jobs, worried about their house, worried about this. You can't front line. We're going to take you with us, but somebody's got to be part of a rebellion. Jesus said, am I leading a rebellion? No, that wasn't what he came to do. It's your job. It's my job to lead the rebellion. Because if you just lay down, the other day I watched one of them, and the guy's laying on the ground. Officers talking to him, the guy, and the guy's doing what we do. What I do? And he's laying on the ground. The officer's standing right about here, and the guy's just looking at him. What I do? You know what the officer did next? He kicked him in the face like he was a football. Just boom. And I'm looking at it as if I'm there. And the real emasculating part of it for all of us is that all we are able to do is film it. You can't help him. You can't say nothing. All you can do is film it. You know what that takes you all the way back to, black people? When the slave master was whipping one of us, you couldn't help him. You couldn't say nothing. You just had to watch it. And so we're stuck again, watching through these lenses, through these cameras, the abuse. So yes, there will be a rebellion. I'm with Christ. Put away the sword. So I don't agree with just walking up on random cops and blowing them away. Dallas, Baton Rouge. That's not my answer to it. Because one of the things that Dr. King taught us and taught me is that in a violent struggle, 9 times out of 10, we ain't gonna win. We didn't win the freedoms we got now through violence. At least not our violence perpetrated on them. Their violence magnified on us broke it open. Because what Dr. King said is this, is that if you enter into violent confrontation, the problem is, while you may take out Let's say that we get enough weapons that we can kill all police, which ain't gonna happen. But you know what they would do? Bring in a National Guard. Let's say that somehow you wipe out the National Guard. Guess what? They got Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines. That ain't the way we win this struggle. We win this struggle, first of all, by calling on our higher power, which is God, and then by mobilizing ourselves. How you break the back of segregation? You withhold your dollars. We ain't riding your buses. You don't want us riding? Give me my money back. Give me my money back. Give me my money back. How you break it? And you know, if we ever can harness the vote and do something powerful with it, but as powerful as the vote is, it ain't as powerful as your dollars. They really ain't afraid of your vote. And you should vote and you do vote, but if you stop giving them your dollars, they got one or two things to do. They'll either come saying, "We sorry what you want us to do," or they'll come and try to destroy you. Because they've done both in the past. You harness your black dollars and you build Black Wall Street. You know what they did? Literally bombed them from the sky. He said, don't resist. Young people, don't resist. You're going to be 16, 17 soon. I know Shayla just got a car, and I'm sure Rodney and Karen have talked to you. And Leah, you driving now. Don't resist. And being a girl, a woman, don't make it any different. Sandra Bland is gone. Don't resist. Don't resist. But all of us got to be part of the rebellion. Because we just can't keep letting it happen. You know how many years it's been happening? Most of us, and again, I'm sorry that I'm preaching to you what I've preached to you before. Most of us have not really read the whole "I Have a Dream" speech because we only allow them to regurgitate the parts they like. I have a dream, and that one day my 4 little children will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. That's all they tell you about the "I Have a Dream" speech. They don't read to you the line where he says that the Negro will never be satisfied as long as he is the victim of the horrors of police brutality. That was in the "I Have a Dream" speech, 1963. 1963. Dr. King said that standing on the Lincoln Memorial. So it's been that long, but it was even before that we're still dealing with it. Freddie Vincent said, "My people, I'm a Cincinnati police officer, but let me just tell you, don't resist." And him writing that was part of him being part of the rebellion. For a black man on the CPD to write that is part of him saying, I don't care what they do to me, I'm going to stand up and say what I got to say. That's part of being part of the rebellion. Black lives matter. Black dollars matter. Black votes matter. He said, don't resist and join the rebellion. But then he also says this, verse 53. Give me verse 53. He says, do you think I cannot call on my Father, and he will at once put at my disposal more than 12 legions of angels? Talking again to my young people and to you. Don't resist. Be part of the rebellion. But he says, don't you know that I can at once call on more than 12 legions of angels? In other words, he's saying, you don't understand the power I have backing me up. Now, what I'm trying to do now is take what Christ has and show you that you got the same thing backing you up. That officer who may be one of those officers who's just looking for a reason to take you out of here, he does not or she does not understand the power backing you up. First of all, you got to understand the power. Jesus said, I can call 12 legions of angels. 12 legions. And when you know you got that kind of power, you ain't got to resist. You just lay chilly, you lay cool. Just lay cool. Because as soon as I get to the station, do what you're going to do. And as soon as I get to a phone, first I'm going to call my mama. I'm going to call my pastor. We're going to get the best lawyer we can get. And I got a church full of folk waiting to back me up. They don't understand that I can call 12 legions of angels. They don't understand I'm not by myself. I may look like a black woman out here on Ninth Street by myself, but I ain't by myself. I got somebody backing me up. I can walk in my office right now and bring you phone messages I got from people who call me about what's happening to their sons and their daughters by the cops. Why do they call? Because what they expect is for me to be part of the legions backing them up. Backing them up. All these young people sitting behind me, all of you sitting there looking at them, you ought to say, I'm part of their backup. I'm part of their backup. If they get mistreated out here, guess what? I'm part of the backup. And whatever I need to do, I'm backing them up. Same thing goes for you. So you don't understand the power I got. He said, first of all, I call on God. I call on God. But I also got to call on the legions. The legions. I'm looking at the legions. All of us are part of the legions. I'm looking at the legions. Because what they're doing out there, it ain't just to young folk, it ain't just to men, it ain't just to women. They're doing it to old folk too. There are some officers out there who don't care. They don't like black people. And these officers who don't like black people can be black or white. So you need to be thinking in your mind when you have this bad encounter, you ain't going to resist because I'm part of the rebellion, but you need to be thinking in your mind, I'm calling on the legions. I'm calling on the help. I know I can make a phone call because we're going to deal with this. We're going to deal with this. I got a mother, she called me the other day, I'm not going to call her name or nothing. She said, Reverend, they took my son's life. They took my son's life. And I'm just asking for your help and your support. I get those, Kathy will tell you, my secretary, I get those calls almost every week. Every week. Jesus, bring that text back up, please. Where Jesus talks about what he can do. He said, am I leading a rebellion? I mean, verse 53. Don't think I can't call on my Father. Don't think I can't call on God. And he will at once put at my disposal more than 12 legions of angels. Now, Christ didn't do it because he said, I came to fulfill a whole nother purpose. Well, his purpose, and I'm closing with this, his purpose was to die for your sins. My purpose and your purpose is just like the cop's purpose is to get back home to my family. My purpose in life ain't to die. That's why he came. He died so I don't have to die. I shouldn't die and getting shot sitting in my car. That ain't my purpose to fulfill. I shouldn't get shot laying in the street with my hands up. That ain't my purpose to fulfill. I shouldn't get choked to death on the streets of New York City. I shouldn't get shot in my back running from an officer. Jesus said, I'm going down with all this. I could have started the rebellion. I could have called the rebellion. I could have called angels, but I came to die. You and I did not come here to die. He died for us. So everything he didn't do, we got to do. Say, Reverend, when's the rebellion start? It's already started. It's already started. It's already started. And it will be televised. The revolution will be televised. It's already started. Freddie Vincent coming out speaking, it's already started. The black officer in Cleveland who came out and spoke, the rebellion has already started. It's already started. Matter of fact, one of the ways you tear down a house, because a house divided against itself can't stand. And one way to get justice in our police departments and our court systems is to press from the outside. But when you got some brothers and sisters on the inside, if you got some brothers and sisters on the inside sitting by the door, then we can tear it down from the inside out. So what we need to do is support those who are willing to stand up, however they put it out there, that we support this brother who is willing to speak out to warn you and to warn your children. He ain't warning the white children. They killing them. I love everybody in here. I don't know. I don't know and really don't care what your political persuasion is, Democrat, Republican, because you was black before you was any of that. I don't care where you live. I don't care where you work, because trust me, when they pull you over, they don't care where you live, they don't care where you work, they don't care if you're voting for Trump or for Hillary. They ain't looking at your bank account. So the time is now. When it will be over, I told you what I'm believing. I'm believing 2019. Rebellion, revolution starts. I believe in 2019, 400 years after they brought the first 20 of us here, 2019. And 2019 is actually a good year too, because for this church, 2019, this church will be 100 years old. We're going to celebrate the anniversary of this church and the emancipation of our people at the same time. So in honor of Freddie Vincent, brother, stand tall. I thank you. I thank you. Because some of us need a warning. Because some of y'all somehow think it skipped you. You think, well, they like me. Okay. Okay. Yeah, somehow it ain't gonna happen to you. Don't resist. We ain't gonna try to fight this in the streets. Join the rebellion in whatever way you can. Join the rebellion. And then, if it happens to you or somebody you know, call the Legion. Call God, call his people, call your pastors, call your mama, call. But you got to be alive to make the call. So if you survive to being thrown on the ground, the knee in the back of your head, the knees, the punches, the kick in the face, the taser, you survive all of that, the Legion ought to surround you and fight back. against that injustice. And Legion, if you don't, shame on you. Shame on you. What's behind me is precious. What's in front of me is precious. Every last one of you. Jesus was not afraid. They came at him with sticks, swords, lanterns. They brought everything at him. And he said, who are you looking for? He said, we're looking for Jesus. He said, I'm he. And the Bible says when he said, I'm he, the power of his words knocked him back. And then he said again, who are you looking for? He said, I'm the one you want. I'm the one you want. Let them go. Let them go. Judas, you were supposed to be my friend, but you betrayed me. You acted just like an Uncle Tom. Just like an Uncle Tom. But you know what? It's all right. Because I'm about to die for your sins too. It's all right. It's all right. I know what I have to do. Said, I'm going to this cross. I'm going to this cross. I'm going to die. They're going to put me in a grave. But on the third day, I'm getting back up. And when I get up, I'm not just getting up with all power for my sake. I'm getting up with power for your sake. The resurrection of Jesus is not just so you and I can die to go to heaven. He said, I came that you might have life and have it here and have it more abundantly. He also said that I'm a God about justice. I'm still the God who says, let my people go. I'm still the God that fights for the oppressed. I'm still the God who heals the brokenhearted and binds up the wounds of my people. I'm still that God. Black people, it's time to rise up. It's time to rise up. There's the power of the black vote. There's the power of the black dollar. There's the power of Black Lives Matter. But there's also the power of the black church. There's the power of the black preacher. I don't care what you say about him, I'm one. There's the power of the black preacher. I come from a long line of black men who stood up for their people. Please stand to your feet. I want you, and this everybody in here can be a target, but just reach your hands toward these young people. And there's young people right around you too. And we just want to impress upon you again how precious you are, how sacred you are,
created to
and how careful we need you to be, because there are people who don't care. Hold on, stay where you are. I'm gonna give it to you. There's nothing but love in here for you, and any young person out here, there's nothing but love. My heart would break